Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. If people join in, we'll bring them in. Charlie, hold still. My name is Kelly Rosequist. I am the CEO of Dog Training Elite, and I really appreciate having you all here today so we can talk a little bit about our brand and what makes us special. Joining me today is Charlie. Charlie is a 5-month-old golden doodle, and he is currently in training for autism support, to be an autism support service animal. So he'll be working for this person. Charlie will be working for a little boy who is about 6 years old. And we'll be doing various tasks for him, including some deep pressure therapy, tethering, and getting the parents if the little boy's ever in trouble or needs assistance. So Charlie's got a big job to fill. He just got started about a month ago, so he'll be in training for about a year until he's completely done and ready to get to work. So he's going to be joining us today. One of the things service dogs have to learn to do is just hang out. So that's what he's practicing today here with me. They have to learn to hang out and be bored sometimes, which is hard for puppies. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. I'm going to be sharing my screen here. Kind of how this is going to work is I'm going to go through, talk about our brand a little bit, and then open up to questions. I want this to be as interactive as it can at the end and be able to answer all those questions that you have. So let's jump right in without further ado. In this picture, in the picture on the front right here is Aiden Rosequist. He does the majority of our training for new owners as far as the dog training aspect goes. And our dog, Arrow. Arrow is actually my service animal. He's here in the room with me too. He's laying under my feet. And Arrow is trained for medical alert. He can detect both asthma attacks and low blood sugar drops for me. So who we are. Dog Training Elite is America's #1 dog training franchise. We have over 40 years of theory development and dog training expertise. Our training is very personalized to our clients' needs, and we offer that training in their home. We have found that this is the best environment for the dog, the easiest environment for our clients, and helps with the longevity of those trainings. We do offer customized training solutions to our clients. We offer outstanding customer service. One of the things that makes us a bit unique is we are very people forward. So we're a dog training company, absolutely. But at the end of the day, we really focus on the client's experience. We are working with them to make sure that they understand the training, because if they don't commit to it, it's not going to do much good. So we're very people forward. We're teachers first. We do work with dogs of all breeds, ages, and disabilities. We don't discriminate against any breeds. Old dogs, young dogs, big dogs, small dogs, we work with them all. It's in the name, but what makes us elite? First and foremost, we offer 7 distinct dog training services. This gives our owners the ability to have a diverse portfolio of what they're offering and to be able to reach clients with varying needs. We offer obedience training first and foremost, because that is the foundation for any of the training that we do. We offer puppy services, which is our basic treat training, puppy imprinting, socializing, getting the puppies started off right. We do offer personal protection training in some of our territories. Service dog training is really what we specialize in. And we offer lots of different types of service dog training, both psychiatric, mobility, and medical. We do offer therapy dog training as well. Therapy dogs are the dogs we see out volunteering in nursing homes, hospitals. So they're out working in their community. Anxiety and aggression training or behavioral modification. We do offer small group classes at local parks in our communities and specialized services for our military and retired veterans. Our story got started many years ago in about 1976 when John Mestis first found Arrow Kennels. Arrow Kennels specialized in hunt training at that time, and John worked as a guide for a lot of big hunters out in this area. In 1990, Arrow Kennels started offering training services to the general public And in 2011, Arrow Kennels became Dog Training Elite, our mobile system. We got rid of the brick and mortar and we went completely mobile at that time. In 2014 is when we first started franchising in Phoenix, Arizona. Then we spent the next 5 years making sure that the franchise was successful. It was something we were able to replicate and that it was profitable in a different market than our own as well. After we got that system perfected in 2019, we were ready for national expansion and have been growing since. Why should someone choose Dog Training Elite? Well, we certainly have some impressive margins. Our products that we offer are higher dollar. We have our clientele generally spending more for the services they're receiving, but we're home-based, so there's no brick and mortar. Our co-founders are our dogs. All of our franchise owners, their dogs are listed as co-founders, and they play a really active role in your business. There is certainly personal fulfillment that comes from this career. Training service dogs is amazing. We get to impact and change lives every day, but even just helping families fall back in love with their dogs is a pretty incredible thing to witness day in and day out. And we do a lot of community involvement. We like to think Dog Training Elite is a company that cares. And so we encourage our franchise owners to be active in their communities as well, whether it's supporting our nonprofit and training service animals, working with local rescue groups to help make sure those dogs don't end up right back in there, or just helping the dogs in the community have more freedom and access. Our investment breakdown is quite simple. We have a pretty low initial investment. The reason for that is there's not a whole lot you need to get started. You need a wrapped vehicle, a good dog, which we help you with, and some marketing, and you're ready to get started. We are SBA approved. We do offer veteran discounts. And our company is very scalable. So most of our owners, start single or 3 territories and end up growing quite quickly. Our educational process is very similar to that of other systems. So I won't go through these step by step, but one of the steps that's really important for us is that peer review. Our franchise owners love talking about what they do. They're very passionate about what they do. So I really encourage all of our prospective owners to reach out to current franchisees and hear their experiences. Our executive interview that takes place with me after the discovery day. Another thing, our discovery day is very interactive. We go out on training appointments, you go out to group classes, you meet clients. So we really want to give you an idea of what a day in the life is actually like in a dog training franchise. COVID-19 response. I get this question regularly, so we just wanted to make sure we talk about it. COVID-19, we definitely had to make some adjustments during that, and I'll talk a little bit to those, but all of our owners actually saw an improvement in revenues during COVID-19 over the previous year. And there's a few reasons for that. One is the pet industry in general is very recession resilient. During COVID in particular, we saw animal shelters emptying out. We saw a real dog shortage, if that has ever actually happened before, where people were trying to find dogs and just couldn't find dogs. And we had people working at home all day, every day, and realizing maybe their dog's behavior wasn't as good as they thought once they were home all day with that dog. So we saw a huge boost in demand during 2020, and we continue to see that into 2021. Having very little overhead, our franchise owners were able to keep their businesses running without a lot of expenses going out. We did move some options online that we hadn't had previously. So people can take online evaluations now if they don't feel comfortable having someone in their home quite yet. And we can do some online training sessions as well. We instituted the survival program during the lockdown, where we would actually come to their home, pick up their dog, take it, do the training and return it, just survival basics, just so they could survive the lockdown with their dog. So that was, stop barking all day, stop getting on the counter and stealing the food, just those things they needed to get through lockdown. We've definitely taken some more health and safety precautions throughout, disinfecting training equipment regularly, always wearing masks, social distancing, making the sizes of our group classes smaller. We've taken a lot of precautions to make sure that we're staying safe and that our clients are safe. We have a virtual discovery day option, and we actually had our first launch that was almost completely virtual in our Denver location, and they're doing pretty fantastic. So just to recap, we are America's #1 dog training franchise with over 40 years of experience. We do have a low cost of entry. We're home-based and incredibly scalable. We have high profit margins and a really rewarding career. All right, so I am going to open it up to questions now. Make sure I have this open here. Okay. I will open up the chat feature too, so if anyone wants to ask but not talk out loud, they can do that as well.
So is the survival training something you're going to continue after things normalize, or will you go back to strictly in-home training?
That's a good question. The survival package itself, I don't see will have really a place unless we end up in this situation again, which I hope we don't. But we have had a few owners who have adapted it because they enjoyed that, or their clients, once they had access to it, really wanted it. An example would be in Charlotte. So they actually have a program now where they do pick up the dog in the morning, take the dog, train it, either at their own home, local parks, and then they take the dog back every day at 5 p.m., do a training session with the owner. And so it has definitely expedited that system, hasn't made them take on any extra expenses, and they've been able to charge more for that product. So it's definitely something that can be adapted to still be offered in this current market.
So what kind of pricing are they charging for that type of service?
So for that particular,
I've seen your regular rate.
yeah. So for that service, for them, they're picking up and dropping off for 10 days. So Monday through Friday for 2 weeks, and they're charging $3,500. And they obviously can do multiple dogs at a time, still kind of do their regular training schedule with that as well.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Would you be able to talk a little bit more about you mentioned the market research phase and the steps and how that's done?
Absolutely. So we do a lot of market research as far as demographics, population size, types of families, to make sure that any franchise we sell is a feasible market. And we do that prior to it being even really available. So there's some markets in the US that someone might call about and they're just not available because we've determined they wouldn't be the best fit for our product. And we want to make sure our owners are successful. But the portion that you're involved in, though, is there's certain things that we have discerned that help our owners be profitable. So we have you research how many pet stores are in your area, how many dog parks, how many families on average have pets. That's something we can pretty easily find on Google. But especially like higher end pet stores, those are usually a good indicator for us. Other mobile pet markets that are popular. So we're having you do some of that research right there in your market to make sure that the market isn't too saturated. And we even have you search other dog trainers. Now that isn't always indicative of success. Denver's a really good example. We have never opened in a market that had more dog trainers than Denver, Colorado. But when actually digging into those dog trainers, we realized very few of them offer the same caliber of training. Very few of them offered service dog training. So those owners were able to come in and we were able to help them identify that niche market for them prior to opening that would set them up for success against their competition. So that's the type of market research we have you do.
I have a question, Kelly.
Yes.
Just wanted to see if you can explain a little bit if there is someone who doesn't necessarily want to do the dog training themselves. Can you explain how that would work and what that would look like?
Absolutely. So for our semi-absentee owners, they do not actually have to be hands-on dog training. The one thing I will say that might make us a little bit different than other brands is you don't have to be actively involved, but you have to have a passion. So when we're looking at semi-absentee, we want to make sure you do love dogs, that you do care about our product and our mission. But assuming all that lines up, we do have the semi-absentee option. So we do allow you to bring a training manager with you to your initial boot camp at no extra charge. So we make sure they know everything about training, about hiring new trainers, training new trainers for you. And if you would ever find yourself in a situation where your training manager left and you had to hire someone new, we do offer what we call Dog Training Elite University, DTEU. And you can send a trainer out to us here and we will put them through the paces, train them on everything there is to learn about dog training, and then send them back to you. And that takes about 2 weeks to get someone fully trained. So if you ever found yourself in a significant pinch and was unable to train someone yourself, we can take that on for you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
Hi, Kelly. This is Phil. You mentioned that in the startup costs, a good dog, you provide a good dog. Is that buying another dog, or is that you're talking about the owner actually training their own dog?
That's a good question. So when possible, we want the owner to train their own dog. To date, every new owner has brought out their own dog and they will go through the training process. Even if we determine, and with the owner determine that their dog might not be their demo dog, the dog that can go to work 12 hours a day and work hard, long days, we still want your dog to go through the process so you can learn. So we definitely want you to bring out your own dog. We have had a few owners who then have decided, hey, my dog just isn't meant for this life. My dog wants to lay on the couch and hang out. That's totally fine too. And we'll help the owners decide what breed is best for their lifestyle and the services they want to offer, and then help with puppy selection as well.
Great, thanks. And you also mentioned that your Denver location was the first almost all virtual location. Did you do all of the training virtually?
We didn't. We did their launch virtually. So the owners did come out for all of their training in person. We did hold one of our smallest boot camps. It was just that family, so we could make sure that we were social distancing and safe for that. But their launch, we typically launch with big events and lots of dogs and people. So it was the first time we couldn't do that. So we had to get a little creative. And they did have a very successful launch.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
So what does the training regimen look like if you hire an assistant trainer? Is there a university requirement for that, or how do you train an assistant trainer?
It's a good question. So if you yourself are training your assistant trainer, which we hope our owners are, able to do, or their training manager is able to do, we do have an internship program that is developed already. So in the dog training industry, internships are the norm. In most places, even unpaid internships are the norm. So we have an internship program set up where that person would shadow X number of appointments, X number of group sessions, X number of task training appointments with your training manager before they're able to work on their own. So it is set up as an internship.
Hey, Kelly, how involved are you guys in the operations and business decisions? Let's say, we come up with a thing where it's like, I don't know, some new, opportunity that gets created, right? Dogs, people who want, I don't know, dogs to drive their cars or something crazy, or, or maybe some program where we visit kids in the hospital, that even if it's a charity thing. Like how would that work, working with you guys?
Yeah, so you have to bring those ideas to us just to make sure they align with our brand standard. That's our main focus. After that, we're involved as much as you want us to be, which is usually quite a bit. I'll give you an example. Most recently, we had an owner come to us and say, hey, I want to offer a program to get dogs ready to be in weddings. This is up and coming. It's a new thing. Everybody wants their dog in their wedding. So they came to us with the idea. They came to us with, some suggestions on what would be included in that. And then we helped them out from there. We developed the program, the training steps, the collateral for them, the marketing tools. So we love when our owners bring new ideas, and every market is unique. So that particular market is Austin, right? Lots of young millennials getting married, not having kids. We don't have ring bearers and flower girls. We need dogs. So every market's very unique. So we would love for you to bring those ideas, and then we'll help bring them to life. We have another owner just recently brought to us, just because it's so exciting, I'll share, an adventure dog program we'll be launching this year that is all about dogs on adventures. So we have programs we'll be rolling out for dogs to be able to go kayaking, dogs to be able to run alongside mountain bikes, skis. So this whole program is just built about like exploring the world with your dog. And again, that's another idea that came to us from an owner, and we'll be rolling that out brand wide this year.
Kelly, I know you mentioned that many of your owners own multiple territories. Can you kind of explain why that is, why it's so easy to scale, and what really is needed to expand into additional territories?
Absolutely. Yeah, we currently, 80% of our owners are multi-unit owners. And I think the reason that is because it's so easy to scale. To scale with our business, really all you need is to add another trainer and turn on marketing for that area. No additional brick and mortar is needed. No additional items are needed to be able to scale. So most of our owners, once they've moved into their areas, have decided they want that whole metropolitan area. And so they're scaled just kind of one territory at a time as they add new people.
Perfect, thank you.
Kelly, with that, I have two quick questions. One, with the territories, how do you determine what is a territory? Like, is it by county, or and do we kind of, if there's no one else in our state, do we kind of have free reign to select our home base? And then, yeah, the other question I have is about sales.
Okay, so territory size, one territory is roughly 250,000 people. And you definitely get to pick your home base. So if I'll use Austin for an example, if the population is almost 2 million and you're starting with one territory, you get to pick where you drop that first pin. Where is home base? And it doesn't have to be your house. We would encourage you to do market research on where you drop that first pin and expand out from that pin. So yeah, it doesn't matter to us where you're operating. We do allow our owners to operate outside of their territory, as long as no one else is in it as well. So certainly you'll notice our owners still are buying up their territories quickly, just because they want to make sure no one else has the option to move in. But if you're alone in an area and you drop that pin, you'll still be able to kind of explore what areas are going to be most profitable for you.
And gotcha. And speaking of profits, as far as sales, like how do I acquire customers? Like, what's the best way? Like, do you guys provide support with that, like via websites, marketing, whatever, or is it pretty much up to the businesses to do individually? Or?
Yeah, we provide quite a bit of support there. So everyone gets a full website. So when you go to our site, and if you haven't already, explore it, there are multiple pages within the sites. A lot of franchise system, you'll get your own one page added. With our system, you get that entire site optimized to your territory and your location. Within that, we work with an amazing marketing company that focuses on franchises in particular, that will assist with Google analytics, Google ads, Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing. As you might imagine, our brand is built for social media. It's just dogs all day. So we provide a lot of assistance. And the majority of our franchise owners, their lead sources just coming in from Google clicks alone keep them more than busy throughout the month. We do encourage our owners to get out and do some face-to-face marketing, because that's really important to us as a brand, to be a part of our community. No matter how big we get, we want our franchise owners to be a local business. And you do that by people knowing you, by people knowing your dogs, seeing you out in the community. So we do, once COVID's a little bit better here, we do home shows, boat shows, RV shows, bridal shows for people who want to offer that wedding package, to get in front of our audience and them to actually be able to see the product, touch the product, pet the dogs. And that is a really big source of leads as well. Did that answer your question? Perfect. I do have a couple that came in here on chat, so I'm going to take those quickly here. One person asked if they're considering this business for their daughter and themselves. If you come out to training, should we bring 2 dogs? That is a good question. You absolutely can bring 2 dogs. Most of our owners actually now are parent-child teams, which is kind of cool. But we got lots of families joining our family business, which we absolutely love. So yeah, you can bring up to 1 dog per handler to our training. And we currently have, and we have someone asking, how many franchisees do we currently have and how many territories? We currently have 11 franchise owners who are across 38 territories. And growing. We have a few more coming on this month. We're going to be opening up, or I guess next month, we'll be opening up additional units in Austin and Des Moines next month. And one more question I got here is about aggressive dogs and asking if I can talk about the liability and insurances needed for working with aggression. That's a good question. General liability insurance is actually the only insurance you need to work with aggressive dogs. The reason being is we are not taking those dogs from their owners. When you take the dog from the owner, additional insurances are needed. Otherwise, you're training in the client's home, the client is present. We don't need those additional insurances. There is a bit of liability that goes with working with aggressive dogs, obviously, but we provide lots of training to that. We have lots of safety measures in place, including use of muzzles, and that is not something owners have to offer. A lot of our owners, though, do come in thinking they're not going to offer that, and then end up offering it. There is a huge demand for that service, and it actually can be quite rewarding to be able to rehabilitate some of those dogs that would otherwise have been put down. Any other questions?
How do you deal with if you're going into a new customer's home with your demo dog for a start? How do you deal with the meet and greet problems? A dog that doesn't like other dogs, or?
That's a good question. So we don't actually allow our dogs to meet their dogs. Our dogs hang out in the car. Our temperature controlled cars, we have systems for that to make sure your car is always on, running, and safe for your dog. And then we have the client come outside, leave their dog inside, and we'll do our demonstration in the front yard.
Okay.
Yeah, I would never want anyone to put their own dog at risk. So our dogs do play roles in training later on as being a distraction, or when we're working with aggressive dogs, the other dog being muzzled, and using our dogs to get that dog used to it. But absolutely, that first meet, we don't allow them to interact.
So how has the pandemic changed that, other than the survival training? How's the pandemic changed that customer interaction? You do most of your training sessions outside, though it's winter, and how does that work? How's it changed that?
Yeah, so most of our training has moved outdoors. which really hasn't affected our business negatively. We kind of do that a lot anyways. If you live in a place where it's cold in the winter, the dogs have to be outside anyways, and they should listen to you indoors, outdoors. So we do have moved the training outdoors. We've actually started offering training too in some different sort of environments to kind of keep things more interesting. One of the things that byproducts of the pandemic is people became more active. And so we've done some training sessions on the trail. Like, we're all going for a hike together. We're spaced, dogs are having fun, people are having fun. We took some dogs up to the ski resort and did some training up at the ski resort. So you can really kind of get creative with outdoor environments, or having even indoor environments where you can be more spaced out. The Ballard family in Denver actually got Cabela's to allow them to start holding their group classes at Cabela's. And so they'll do the training out in the field and parking lot in front of Cabela's, and then the rest of the training inside the store, which is incredible training for the dogs. And so, yeah, there's lots of workarounds. But we're speaking of COVID, we are seeing a bit of an increase now in training again as people are returning to work. We're starting to see a lot of dogs who are suffering from some separation anxiety. They got real used to their person being home for months on end, and now they're home alone all day. So we have had to really step up that anxiety training as well across the brand. So COVID-19 continues to kind of throw different things at us that are keeping us busy.
When you work with like local parks or the city or the county for the parks, do you get a lot of resistance, or how does that relationship work? You typically have to, you know, can you maybe, I guess you could probably rent a field or something like that, but in general, if you just want to take a couple dogs out to train for one afternoon or whatever, how's that relationship look?
So for most of our locations, I'd say at least 80% of our locations, we've had no issues, no permits required, nothing needed. That we have in Phoenix and in Denver, we have to have permits at the parks. Having the permit has actually worked out to their favor, however, because having that permitted time, they're actually able to sell from that location as well. So they set up their branded canopies. They have one of their trainers just hanging out under the canopy while the dogs are doing amazing agility stuff next door. And so they've had lots of people at the park just come up like, hey, what are you doing? How do I get involved in this? So it's actually been a really good sales mechanism for them by having that permit.
I have to hop in there too, Kelly, because I myself was at one of the parks in Denver recently, and I was so drawn to what was going on. I looked over and realized it was Dog Training Elite. So I definitely can see how, you know, the way that they have their training set up with all the dogs in a line. It's pretty hard to not turn and look and wonder what's going on. So I definitely think that is a great marketing opportunity for them as well.
I'm glad to hear that. Group classes are so fun. I did have someone ask me here quickly to talk about the Malinois Foundation, because I just realized I didn't do that. So the Malinois Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 that was founded 8 years ago by myself and a few friends. And the point of the Malinois Foundation is to provide service animals to veterans, women survivors, and children with fragile medical needs at no cost to them. So nationally, on the corporate level, we have placed over 55 dogs, and our franchise owners get to be involved in that as well, to varying degrees of their choice. But we do ask each of our franchise owners, though, once a year to donate their training time to one individual in their community. So those people would apply through the foundation, get their approval, and then you would be able to support someone in your local community. And we can do some fundraisers locally, help you do those. But it's a really cool way to get to know the people in your community, and really a really great marketing tool for you as well, to be able to share the philanthropic work that you're doing in your area as well. Any other questions?
What would be the typical number of add-on services that your average franchisee offers? I know you have a long list of additional training and special services. You mentioned service dog, but what's the average? 1 or 2 services above normal?
So I would say everyone starts with 1 or 2 above normal. All of our owners who've been in operation for at least a year or more have now offer almost every single service.
Okay.
And it's because they get in, they have a blast doing it. They want to learn more, market demands more. Yeah, just service dogs alone, we offer PTSD, psychiatric support, mobility support, autism support, diabetic alert, seizure response, and medical detection. So dogs who can scent out gluten allergies, nut allergies. So yeah, so there's just within service dogs alone, there's lots of ways to grow your market and to be able to make sure you always are able to offer those services that are in demand in your area. Anything else, guys? Okay, well, I think we'll wrap up for today. Please keep those questions coming throughout your discovery process. One of our pillars here at Dog Training Elite is integrity and transparency. So anything you ask, we will answer. So make sure you keep those questions coming and reach out to our team if you have anything pop up. But otherwise, it was such a pleasure meeting all of you today and getting to talk with you all more. And I look forward to talking with you more throughout the process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.